I was sitting around and through editing and through trying to figure out kind of the streamlined story of what this YouTube video was going to be. I had a thought. It would probably be really good to introduce myself at least.
Nico on the beat.
So I figured we'd take a journey. All right. And I don't mean something like long-winded, this is my life, like montage or anything like that. I'm not dead. But I figured we would kind of go back and see the origin of how we got here, because a lot of people just don't know the creation and the branding and maybe even the origin of the thought process of being in front of a microphone, being in front of a camera, doing this whole content creating space, or just having fun and creating a community, or having both of those together. Speaking of my community, twitch.tv/GameArmourGame. Go ahead and hit the follow on that one. We're live every Wednesday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern time. We have a whole lot of fun. We talk everything from mental health to sports to music. And a lot of people just don't know this story. So I think the best thing to do is to go back and start around 2010. 2010 was such a very interesting year for me, because in that year, in that time, I was focused on a lot of things. I was getting into music. I was a drumline captain for the second year in a row. I was focusing on high school and college. And in that time also, I got really, really heavy into wrestling. And I was already a big wrestling fan as a kid, but we all do that thing where we kind of fade out of wrestling and then come back in and do that. And I did that. And during that time, I really liked wrestling, to the point where I actually started my own YouTube series talking about wrestling in 2010. And that was one of the first times where I had the thought of becoming some kind of content creator, YouTuber, whatever kind of title you want to put on. And you can just see it maybe here, maybe right there. It's 2010. I don't really know what I was really trying to accomplish, and I don't really know what maybe I was even saying at times, but in those times it kind of got me those camera reps. And little did I know, all the people that told me in school that becoming a professional wrestler was completely out of pocket and not for my future and those things. Well, later on, after graduating high school, I flipped the script on them as well, and well, I did that too. I actually became the youngest and longest reigning independent champion in the Southeast. And professional wrestling is great. It's part of the reason why we got here. Another part of the reason is back in 2010, I started producing music. I would use my dad's computer to the maximum, running programs like Audacity and Fruity Loops and Pro Tools and things of those nature, just trying to make some beats. That was it, just trying to make some beats. But I did, and I became very good at it. I also posted those on YouTube. And a lot of people think that creating internet content kind of started just a few years ago, but most of the people that have been grinding and made a brand for themselves started way before this was a popular concept. With all that being said, I took a back seat to a lot of this. I started those YouTube channels, recorded those videos. I had to go through life, of course. I mean, finishing high school, going to college, finishing that, having multiple jobs almost all the time. Then I went from job to management to district managing to then jumping into professional wrestling full time. And that was pretty much everything that I did, from travel to workout, starting to personally train. And there is something missing. I mean, yes, I love playing video games. Video games have been a huge part of my life. My dad got me into video games, and all the way back to Sega Genesis, I've enjoyed every, you can't say every game. There's been some games that just are not good, but I've enjoyed a good majority of the games that I've played throughout my entire life. And I never back then would have thought of a concept of people playing games and then others watching it for their enjoyment. Well, that is now a very regular occurrence that happens every single day now by the masses. But when I got into wrestling, I don't know, I felt like a lot of things were fulfilled for me. And wrestling and the reason why I create content are very, very intertwined in itself, because, and this is not some kind of sappy sob story or anything like that. I'm just being real, exactly how I've always been. And if you want to have more of these real conversations, you can go to twitch.tv/GameArmourGame. I stream live every Wednesday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern time. But I got into wrestling because there was a point in time in my life that wasn't the grandest. I mean, to be completely candid, my parents weren't on the same page. My sisters were all 5 years apart. And right at that time in our lives, we really all couldn't relate to each other. We were digesting and understanding things at completely different levels in the same household. And with that, I stumbled into wrestling. My older sister was a big wrestling fan, and walking into her room and seeing wrestling for the first time really kind of spiked everything for me. And the reason why I took the step, I decided to dedicate my body, my mental, anything that you have to give to the art, to the sport of professional wrestling. I decided to do that for the exact kid, teen, adult that may have been in the same spot that I was, where life just wasn't in the best spot. And professional wrestling gave me that escape. It gave me that entertainment, but it also gave me the ups and downs of following a storyline and the emotions that can be given, the lessons that can be learned. I learned a lot of that through professional wrestling, and I wanted to be that same escape, that same source of entertainment for maybe any other kid, teen, adult, parent out there that could be going through the same thing that I did as a kid. Content creation and my podcast and my streams are in the same vein. I know now that there have been some people that have stopped by my stream and told me I've completely changed their week, their month, their year, whatever it may be, just because we've sat down and we've had real conversation on stream. I do my best to not just put out content to be content. I do my best not to produce a product and it's just for clicks or just for likes, because that's not what I base my image, my brand, my anything around. I want to be some kind of source of positive reinforcement to life. And the fact that I started all this in 2010 without even really focusing on the fact that that's what I wanted to do, but yet my life kind of trickled in the same way. I mean, hell, that's why I did things like I don't know, play on the drum line. Also dancing during drumline battles. Did that too. I don't know. Also, you know, the thing that I've mentioned the most, being a professional wrestler. And my life has just grown from there. A lot of people that have started this haven't had the camera reps or the microphone reps or things like that. And that just comes with time. I want content creators or aspiring creators. And I actually want to niche the whole content creator thing. It's kind of gotten a bad rap at this point. And I want people to focus on the fact that I am a creator. I do create content to be consumed, but I also love to create in an aspect where if it's just a song because I'm feeling a certain way and I want to create a song off of that, then I will do that. And then if it ends up being in the background of a video, that's cool, but I'm not like releasing it to try to be the next big producer. It's just something that I love to do. It's a passion of mine. Being a creator is interesting, and it's usually a very storied path. And this is just a sneak peek into that storied path from 2010 of being on my own little wrestling podcast show to then becoming a professional wrestler in my own right, traveling the world, establishing different places, accumulating accolades, and then stepping away from professional wrestling and walking more into the sports broadcasting world, which has brought me here. If you can't tell, I'm a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. Shout out to my uncle Doug Terry. He played for the Kansas City Chiefs when I was a kid, and it was the first football that I started seeing. So why not ride it out with the Chiefs? And I mean, my entire life has kind of just been riding that train when it comes to football. But that's what brought me into this current space of creating any kind of entertainment, because I started, or at least I started back with football content and talking about sports and the athletes that embody the NFL and things of that nature. And it kind of grew more and more thanks to the help of Gat and so many, actually, no, thanks to the help of Gat. She's the one that pushed me to get on camera again and start doing this in a weekly fashion and putting together a show. And that's what brought me into KCPN. And if you don't know, it's the Kansas City Public Network. I will be dropping a show coming very soon on Tuesdays, every Tuesdays, talking about my tech adventures that kind of coincide with these life adventures that brought me here. So go ahead, drop a subscription, drop a like, drop a comment on that KCPN channel. I'm going to be over there every Tuesday coming up very soon. But it's just been a long ride since then. It's only been about a year and a half, coming up to maybe 2 years of this whole idea being a concept. And I want my fellow creators, ones that run podcasts, runs YouTube channels, ones that run Twitch streams and all that. It just takes some time. These stories don't develop overnight. You don't read a book that just has 2 pages and you feel fulfilled from that story. So just know that everything that you do, just make sure it's a stepping stone to the ending goal that you want to get through. And if your ending goal is being very successful on YouTube, map it out, plan it out, put it together. I could have been serious about this in 2010 when I started, where the minimal expectations were very low for YouTube. Now you got to be 1080p, 60 frames, bare minimum to be a quality product. Back then, if you had a webcam and a built-in microphone, you had it, you know? But I didn't take it seriously back then. I just thought it was an avenue for me to express some creativity. Now, as you guys know, we're dropping videos every Monday and Friday on YouTube, also streaming on Wednesdays on Twitch, and then on the KCPN YouTube on Tuesdays. I appreciate you guys so much. If you want to learn more about me or more about my community, once again, you can join that Twitch that I mentioned, or you can join up in the Discord that I'm going to leave down in the comments below. We have a really good time on Twitch, and I plan to bring more of that energy here to YouTube. But I wanted to give you guys a chance to get a little bit of my backstory and how we got here. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, share this to a friend that may be getting into the creation game and maybe just needs that little extra push or needs to understand that this isn't a microwave. It takes a little more time than usual. Other than that, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Yeah.